everybody for your patience with the technical difficulties. I actually am logged in on my computer because I'll be sharing my screen a little bit this morning. However, I am speaking to you from my phone. So I want to welcome everybody to our first build call of 2023 and just lay out a little bit about what we'll be doing on today's call. Before we do that, I know we've got a lot of new people that are on the call, and so I want to set some context for what this call is, how it happens, why it happens, and what you can look for in the coming year using this as a resource. This call happens the first and the third Tuesdays of every month, same time, same day. We've done that on purpose to create a cadence to be able to plug in and schedule around. And so for those of you that are serious about building and growing and scaling your organizations, my invitation to you is to lock this time into your calendars. If there's any question that about, well, what is it this week, or is it next week, or where can I find that? If you go to, and this is where I'm going to share my screen for a moment. If you go to empirebuilders.pro, there is a resources tab. If you click on the live training schedule, what you'll see there is the highlighted live calls that we do. And when you click on access all calls here, it's going to take you straight into an actual Google Calendar with live links that you can then load into your calendar so that you're set up for the year. And so why we do this on the first and third weeks of the month is to create a larger conversation. There's over 3,000.
Hang on, Casey.
I get muted. That's okay. I'm done. You're done. We're done. The call's done. You can all go. One of the incredible things about being part of an organization that is like this organization is that borders are not obstacles. And so there's people literally from this call that are plugging in from all over. And the goal is that while everyone has EXP in common as real estate careers and professions, everyone has different goals within that. And so there's going to be a heavy focus this year on production, helping people get into production, grow and scale their production, and really take their real estate lives and careers to the next level. This specific call is creating a larger collaborative conversation around utilizing your influence as you're out there in your day-to-day business with agents to be of service to them in their careers within the industry, and knowing what's available here and how to position that, how to have those conversations, should you choose your influence to make a difference in the lives of your colleagues with what's available here. And there's a lot of noise in the world. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace. There's a lot of noise in the media. And the purpose of this conversation is to have a consistent, ongoing conversation really on building people, building organizations, and how to do that. So we go back to, who is this conversation for? Anyone that's looking to grow their influence in that way in their organization. So some of you are doing that on a casual basis as it comes up and as those conversations happen. Some of you are doing it on a very intentional basis. And like I'm looking and I see Will Higgins here. And I remember just over a year ago, he's like, listen, I'm going to be in the, top percentage of realtors in my business. However, I'm not going to succeed alone. I want to take other agents with me and help them grow their businesses as well. And so within his first year at EXP, he used that influence, he used that focus, he used that drive and desire. And Will, I know it was over 100. Will you come off mute and share what it was for your first year?
Yeah, my first year, I went just right over 100. I'm at like I'm almost at 2 years and I have 167 now.
Cool. So there's really, this is like anything, everybody here is in business for themselves. However, you're not in business by yourself. And so the first and third weeks of the month, as we come together in this larger conversation, Rick often talks, so you'll hear Rick talk on his calls a lot about people being hungry, humble, smart, and coachable. And you can have one of those characteristics. You could have two of those characteristics. However, when you embody all four of those characteristics, really anything becomes possible. Until someone embodies all of those characteristics, there's going to be a lot of bumps and difficulties. So when we look at those characteristics of humble means, you know what? I don't know it all. I'm willing to be a beginner. I'm learning based. I'm willing to be introspective. And it's an attitude of being open to, regardless of how far one has come, knowing that there's an infinite stretch and expanse to still go, and being an eternal student. So when we talk about humble, that's what we talk about. Hungry. You cannot teach desire. You cannot teach desire. And if you are a person who has desire, you may sometimes find yourself wanting great things for others more than they want it for themselves. And how we manage our hunger and that desire will dictate how far we can go and the impact that we can make. One of my, probably the greatest mentor that I've been privileged to have in my business career passed away unexpectedly yesterday morning in an accident. And when I think about the 13 years of influence that he had on me, I was on the ground, boots on the ground with him in Vietnam, in South America, in Europe, regularly in the US for trainings that we did. And for as long as I knew that man, he showed up 1,000% everywhere he went. He never wavered. And he would always say, you have got to keep your focus and your hunger forward into your vision and what you know is possible for you and your family and the impact that you can make. Because if you take your hunger and your desire and you get caught up in people that are not hungry, that don't have the desire that you do, that come and that go, you'll go with them. And so hunger and desire is something that is unique to every single person. And just by nature of the variety of people that we have on this call, every single person on this call is going to have a different level of hunger. Hunger can be fostered, it can be grown, it can be developed. And so if one of the things that you're looking for in this year is to grow and foster and develop that hunger, part of it is the rooms that you're getting in, the conversations that you're a part of, and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So this call, the first and the third weeks, for people that are looking to increase that or already have that and looking to fine tune and tweak, that's why we're coming together. Hungry and humble are the first two. Smart, there's no measure on intelligence. That is all completely relative, right? However, smart meaning, what is a smart person doing? A smart person's always looking to grow, learn, and expand, right? And to become better and to become more efficient and to skill up and to recognize that every mountain that is climbed is really just the foundation and the base for the next one that will happen. The last one is coachable. And you can have, I always say, you can have the best coach in the world. However, in the absence of someone who's coachable, it does not matter. Conversations are wasted and fall on deaf ears if those are conversations that are had with someone that's not coachable. So what does coachable mean? It can mean a lot of different things. However, in the context of how we talk about coachable, it is that being willing to take inventory. Hey, what's working right now? What's not working? Okay, what is working? Let's do more of that. What's not working? How are we going to course correct, tweak, and improve? And those conversations happen often. They happen regularly. And it's being willing to hold oneself accountable and responsible as an act of self-leadership, not leadership that's from someone else. The truth is, regardless, every single person is a leader. You all have people that are following you. The question becomes, where are you going and how are you communicating? Where are you going? I'm going to say that again. Where are you going? How are you communicating? Where are you going? How often are you communicating where you're going. So leadership happens inside first, and then those conversations extend to the people that you'll be in conversation with. So the first and third weeks, we come back to this conversation, which is all around how to build, grow, scale, use your influence to make a difference and make an impact. I think about Nathan, who passed yesterday. And for 30 years of his life, his message was the same and his actions lined up to that. And it was get focused, stay focused, be in 1,000%. Before the Miracle Morning book ever existed, for 40 years, that's how he's lived his life in the morning, with those habits to build himself personally as an individual, and that structure to continue growing mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, before ever touching business every day. And those keys to those foundational keys to success, to personal success, they're not secrets, they're disciplines. And the only difference between people that are doing them and not doing them is the decision. It's a decision to do that and to implement and execute those disciplines in your life. So each going into this year in 2023, as we have this call the first and the third weeks, we will have different people that will be coming on the call that you're going to hear from within the organization in the form of interviews, because there's all things that can be learned and gleaned. There is not one way to do anything. However, systems become very important when you want to duplicate, grow, and scale. And what a lot of people get afraid of systems about is that it takes the personality out, you become robotic, and it's too much structure, right? However, when you have a healthy system and a healthy amount of structure, what it does is it makes you not the issue. And for those of you that want to use your influence to grow, to build, to scale, when you make yourself the issue, you'll build something small. And when you utilize a system and proven strategies for growth, and you take that hunger and that desire and you focus it outward to help other people, you'll be able to grow and scale and build something massive. So I'm going to take a breather for a second, and just quite often what we'll do on these calls is we'll take an agenda. So if there's specific questions or things that you have that you want to make sure get covered or addressed during the course of the call, please use the chat below. And I'm going to allow an opportunity for anyone that just has had any kind of thoughts or ahas thus far in the conversation to come off mute and share those to create a little bit larger and collaborative conversation before we move into the topic that we're going to talk about today.
The conversation around desire and trying to, sorry about that, wanting more for others than they want for themselves. That is, man, you were preaching right there, because that's huge. And I've always wanted everybody else to succeed. And, just again, I tap in as much as possible, but with you talking about just matching energy has changed everything for me. Because, I want everybody to succeed, but if they don't want to succeed, you just got to move on, And we had Dave Kennord on our call 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And what he said was super powerful. He said at EXP, like he said, you have a huge opportunity. And if you think about, he said, we're people, but if you think about everybody as like a snowball, he said, the beauty of this business is, you bring people on, you give them the resources and you nudge them, right? And he said, just like a snowball, if you nudge, you line up 12 snowballs and you nudge them all off the cliff, some will go 6 inches, some will go 6 feet, some will turn into an avalanche. And that's what I love about this. And basically what I got from that was, I just need to nudge more people.
I love that. Say less to more people. That's a very powerful, when we care about people, one of the things that can be inherent is that we feel if we just talk them into submission. I just need to have one more conversation. We just need to meet again for an hour. We're just when something's clear for you and it's not right or not the time for someone else, and we lose that perspective of what there really is to do, we can find ourselves investing massive amounts of energy and feeling very energetically depleted based on how that goes versus understanding like, wow, if I go back to being the person on the plane that's going through the plane and is like, coffee, 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 coffee. It's really simple. Yes, I want coffee. No, I don't want coffee. In the context of, being at EXP, leverage, scalability, freedom, legacy. No. Okay, keep moving. It really becomes that simple. However, it as leader, it can become more challenging, particularly, Will, I've seen you over the last couple of years and the people that you've been able to influence and what's happened in their real estate sales businesses and in their families' personal lives and how those have shifted so significantly. And as that happens over and over again to people that to people that you've been part of that process with, we can find ourselves overly investing for people that don't want the coffee. Attempting to convince them, like, it's so funny. Rick grew up in a Lebanese family, which is like, he's 100% Lebanese. Everyone drinks coffee. Rick does not drink coffee. And it's so funny. You'll watch people go, oh, you want coffee? Nope. Don't drink coffee. What? You don't drink coffee? How can you not drink coffee? I don't like it. Well, have you had this kind? Right? And everywhere we go, for people that are coffee lovers, they want to convince Rick into becoming a coffee drinker. And he's like, just doesn't like it, doesn't want it. He's never going to want it. And he's never going to like it. The man's 65 years old. There's nobody saying anything that's going to change that. And so it's a great perspective to not take ourselves too seriously and remember, like, why are we here? We're looking for the people that are looking for us, that don't know that they're looking for us, to be able to match that energy with energy and guide them to something more than that's been what's possible for them up to that point. I love that, Will. Anyone else have something that is just an aha or takeaway? John.
Yeah. And Casey, I'm sorry to hear about your mentor and friend. I really am. My heart goes out to you. Along those lines of the, kind of pushing people, I struggle with my organization of wanting them so badly to catch the fire or the bug for agent attraction. And I want to pour into them. And when you speak about desire, I don't see that same desire with them. And so it frustrates me. And I've been walking this fine line of how hard do I push them. And as I'm listening to this, I'm realizing that I'm trying to push them into something that I want for them as opposed to what they want. And really what they want is to get another real estate commission and make some money. And that's where I need to pour into them. And then I need to go find the other people who are not in my organization yet, who want to do agent attraction or maybe open to it, and pour into them that way. But I've just been struggling with, pouring into them with agent attraction, and it's just not there for some of them or a lot of them.
Yeah, I think you bring up such a great point, right? It's meeting people where they're at and helping them into the next step of what's important for them, right? And so in anything, like if I talk about this often about, I want to be someone's go-to resource for everything. If you are looking for a book on how to have a better relationship, Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix, hands down, I am sending you that book. If you are looking for a way to grow and develop personally and professionally and bust through limiting beliefs or blind spots or barriers that you've had up until this point in your life that have stopped you from getting what you really desire and what you really want to create, I am sending you to PSI seminars. I don't know of a better experiential leadership training development place to do that. If somebody is looking to grow and scale their personal real estate sales business, I am plugging them into all of the live trainings that we're offering within this organization. And that's their starting point. If somebody is getting tired and looking at, okay, here 2022 was my best year ever. How am I going to recreate that or do more in 2023? Except for that I want a better personal life. Now we're in a different conversation. And so everybody's going to be at a different timeline. And I don't look at timelines like ladder, like, oh, they're in lower rungs of the ladder. Like if you lay the ladder on the ground and it becomes a historical progression, nobody's above where anyone else is at in their journey. They are laterally in a different spot. And so as we utilize our influence, that is the job, is to master where people are at in the ladder of their experience and where they most want to move to next. And when we do that and we become the resource for that, like, you will have someone that is a partner for life, because what you care about is what they care about for them and being that resource and that person for them. And so much of what we do in building and growing people is just that. We have a restaurant here locally that we go to. It's the restaurant that we got married, had our wedding reception in Carmel. And there is the manager there that's been the manager there for the last 3 years. We adore him. And so we were sitting and we were having dinner there on Sunday, early dinner, late lunch. And we started talking real estate. And he goes, I have this friend. He's amazing. Do you know him? And we didn't know him. He was a local agent in Carmel. And we just said, we love meeting great people. And he goes, well, let me connect you. And so we took a picture. Rick took a picture with him. In that moment, he sent him a text message and said, I'm sitting here with Nadeem. And he said, we got to know each other. And so less than 24 hours later, we are sitting with this guy last night and developing a relationship. And as we were doing that, how do we look at that in the context? And this comes back to what you're talking about, John, because it is somebody that's already in and part of your organization or somebody that's not. And as we were talking about him and getting to know him, he's like, oh, you can see from a mile away that when people want to meet and connect because they want something. And he said, he goes, you guys are, I could tell, are like two of the greats. And I'm so looking forward to developing a relationship with you. And so organically, as we were getting to know him and, did, close to 20 million last year as a single agent, close to 23 the year before, and what was important to him and how he's already creating leverage and these different things. We're building that relationship to go, wow, we know that in every relationship we walk into, there's something that we can learn and there's something that we can offer. Right. And in that space, for people that are already in your organization, I look at everyone that's on this call. I have something to learn from each and every one of you. And then I have something to offer as well. Right. And those will be multiple things. So really, whether you're using your influence to recruit, build, scale an organization, or you have an organization that you're wanting to foster and grow and develop, it is the same thing. We're investing in people. And we're caring about people and we're helping people get more of what they want. Now, desire is an interesting thing. So just by a show of hands, how many on the call are like, things might look a lot different if I had more desire in this area? And don't be shy. Like, I'm raising my own hand. I'm raising my own hand because, desire shifts and changes. Desire can be developed. And if you want to know how to develop your own desire at a higher level, the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill talks specifically in one of the chapters about the white hot heat of desire. It specifically references that in that way. And that desire is not something you have or you don't have. It is something that can be cultivated and grow to however big that you want to grow your own personal desire. And there's a specific strategy of how to do that. So I'm going to, share that as a reference and a resource for anyone that is looking to build your own desire to greater levels. Yes, it matters who you associate with and who you surround yourself with, and that is naturally going to rub off on you. However, that's not going to do anything when you get up in the morning when it comes to what there is to do that day as you go out into your business, your life, and your world. Those things come from things that you will create inside yourself. And so specifically how you cultivate that white hot heat of desire, that's the best resource I know of that talks about how to do that and put those pieces together. And again, that is an inside job and inside work. Great. Any other?
Casey, can I add something based on the teachings that you've given me?
Absolutely.
So John, the way you just want to nudge them, and the way you nudge them is based on what motivates them. So what are the three motivators, Casey? It's going to be money, it's going to be service, or it's going to be recognition, right? So if money's their motivator, if they have somebody in their downline, what I do is when I see something close, on my second or third or whatever line, I'll send that person a text message, hey, download the app. Guess what? You have RevShare, right? That might be enough to activate somebody, because if somebody closes $1 million deal under them and they get close to $1,000, before they weren't interested, but when they see that come, they say, okay, now I'm interested, right? Because it becomes real. If it's recognition, right, you recognize them, right? So, hey, congratulations, you just brought somebody on. You know what I mean? So just, you got to figure out what motivates them, and you just nudge. But other than that, another thing, a term I heard, and I think Jeff's on the call, but Jeff said, always think about this key term, Rita, and that is recruiting is the answer. Just go get somebody else.
Yeah. So there's a saying that new blood is the lifeblood in any business. And the reason that is not to say that people like, Rick and me that have been around for years, there's not value. The reason new blood is the lifeblood of any business is because generally it denotes hunger. And generally it denotes an internal drive that's already there versus one that has to be fostered. And so new blood being the lifeblood of the business, or recruiting is the answer. Rita, I love that. That is the reason for that. And so if you think about that as, Will, you're going into your second year for your real estate career with EXP. Rita is recruiting is the answer. And so if you think about, you're going into your second year, here at EXP, and what that can look like, you had a killer year in your real estate sales business, and you're in the and, right? So you're a great example of somebody that's crushing it in their real estate sales business, and somebody who is also building an organization. I would like to invite everyone, from today forward, to release the word downline and never say it again. Not as a criticism, as a perspective shift. Because when you say downline, what that represents is somebody is on top or above. And the truth is, nobody's above anybody in the organization. We are all part of an organization. We are all in someone's organization of people that have chosen to be in business together and partner together for individually what we're looking to create, and also a greater collective good. So as you talk about what we're building organizations of people, right? This is an organization. Like, we go and we look in our organization, great. In the second generation within our organization, and when generation, like, words have power, right? So if I'm looking at the second generation of my organization, what does the word generation bring up? Generation brings up family, it brings up lineage, it brings up history, right? If I'm looking on my 6th or 7th generation in our organization, what is that? Those are people that have come into the organization that probably may have talked to me or Rick along the lines. However, they are coming into the organization through someone else in the genealogy that was probably in generation 6 or generation 5 or generation 4. And when you start to change that language and how we refer to it, it starts to take on a different feeling, right? And so for people that are part of your lineage, as far as business partners go, like, we're business partners. Senior, if you want to call it that, just because we may have been here one day longer than you, or 5 years longer than you, growing and building and fostering and scaling organizations. So would love to introduce that as a shift in perspective and a way to talk about things in the new year. Thank you for that. Okay, great. Any other perspectives, comments? Michelle Russell, you're down the road in Monterey Bay. Look at you in your office. I know which room you're on the wall behind.
Yes, I love it. It was a great room for meetings and Zooms. So I have an interesting question, and I love using the word generation, and I am so grateful to be part of the organization with all of you that are here today, and I'm getting, because of the new office, I'm getting a lot of agents contacting me wanting to kind of come in. And I'm in a quandary because they're not in our organization. And there's a couple that are super green. They want to come in and they want me to help them. And it's really hard for me because I want to help people, but I have my own team and my own organization that I need to focus on. So I was just wondering if you had any, I've told them, like one of the guys I talked to yesterday, you need to go to your upline. I would say your generational upline now, change the verbiage, but because he's getting no help from his sponsor, he picked wrong, basically. But I said, you have 7 levels of people and you just need to call every single one of those and see who it is you're going to find in there that's going to help you, because someone's going to help you. My sponsors, Anna Abitamarco, who flew across the country to help me, and she's in Pennsylvania. So I just want to know if I'm giving the right advice, but I just feel like I can't spend my energy on somebody that's going to take away from my own team. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So I would say that there's an and conversation at play. And a lot of times that someone gets the help is more important than who helps them. I'm going to say that again. That someone gets the help that they need is more important than who helps them. And so when someone comes into EXP and let's say their sponsor is not engaged or not plugged in, it doesn't matter, because there is more resources to help an agent than they will probably ever take advantage of in the history of their time that they'll be with the company. And so every person makes those decisions differently around where your time and energy is going to go, obviously. So how do we go into an and conversation and be a resource and a help for people that aren't plugged in where they're at? Or so yes, plugging them in with people that are financially connected and benefit from the growth of their business. Absolutely a great recommendation. Secondarily, all of the resources that are offered within EXP, there's something, if you go into workplace, it's called the EXP family tree. And EXP family tree within workplace is specifically for any agent of the 85,000 plus agents that are part of the company, regardless of where their sponsorship is. And this is, there's thousands of people that are part of this group. To receive whatever kind of support it is that they want and that they need and that they're looking for within a greater, larger community. And so specifically, if that's production support, like I think we take for granted a lot of the time because everything that we offer, to our organization, that Rick and I are offering to our organization, half the time I think, gosh, there's 40 plus hours of live training that are happening in the EXP world that if we could just get the organization plugged into, they would get everything they need. However, sometimes people like to be like this, where they know and have the relationship and are working together with a chosen set of people that they've chosen to be in business with, right? So it's an and conversation, which is why if you go into the resources calendar on Empire Builders Pro, you will see specifically like Wednesday, and if you're in California, plug into contracts class. This Friday, the call that will happen, that's the company-wide call. You'll see that call every Friday in the calendar for the entire year because we want people plugged into the company. Specifically, there was an email that went out this morning from Glenn, the founder of the company, in relation to him taking over the CEO role and what Jason Guessing is going to be moving into and doing, and how that's going to impact agents in the business in the field as it relates to the metaverse and business and what we're doing. So, what I would say, Michelle, is yes, we always keep, like, we don't look out for other people at the cost of our own families and our business. And at the same time, it's not that we become responsible for everyone else. We become a resource to go, hey, here's where to point you and direct you to get, exactly what it is that you need in this next phase. And generally, most people don't know about the resources because they haven't been introduced to them, or they're not plugged into them and they just need a reminder.
Thank you. I just feel bad saying no to this kid, and he's super green. He's 2 years in, hasn't sold one thing. He's just getting zero help. And anyway, but I appreciate your advice.
Yeah. So, in that instance, plug him in to what we have within company support, where he can get that specifically if it's not going to be within, the direct person that brought him to the company. I guarantee you there's someone that, within those 6 generations above the person that brought him to the company that is very actively selling real estate and happy to support the increase in production of someone within their organization, because that's how our whole business system is set up, is to help each other succeed and grow.
Great. Thank you, Casey.
Yep. Great question. Okay. So here's what I wanted to give to each one of you as we start into this new year. How many people have set a context in the form of one single word that is going to be your guiding light for the year, just by a show of hands? Okay, a couple of you. So let's talk about the value of setting a context. If you're on social media, you may see, oh, I chose my word for the year. If you have a context for the year that you've already selected, please put it in the chat. I would love to know what everyone's is so that I can support you in that. Here's what can happen a lot of the time. We'll see, like, on social media, be like, this is my word for the year. And then it is, it's kind of a fun, faddish thing to do. Like, we pick the word, we love the word, it's a great word. And when it comes to day of how we're going to actually use that, it gets completely lost. Like, there's been times over the years where Rick and I have done this, because we do set a context word for ourselves individually, and then we set one together as a couple for our family. And there's been times where halfway through the year, I'm like, what was your context? And he goes, I don't know. What was it? Right. And, there's been times where that has happened in the reverse as well. So the value of setting a context, and we've got some people that have put those in. So intention, believe, flourish, consistency, prosperity, clarity, explode, abundance, are some of the ones that have come in. Decision. Thank you for putting those in. The value of picking a context is it becomes a filter for how you are going to make decisions and choose to show up regardless of what is happening in your business and in your life. So let me give you an example of what that means. Anna Abbott-Marco has her hand up. I'm just seeing it because my phone was blocking it. Anna, do you want to come off mute?
Nope, sorry, that was an accident.
Oh, okay, no problem. I'm like, I just don't want to keep talking if I miss somebody. So let me give you an example of what that means. Rick was very clear on picking his context for 2023. His context is prioritize. And why that's important for him is because most of you know, Rick has the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. And whenever anyone asks anything of him, his answer is yes. It is always yes. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what they're asking. The answer is yes. And we love that about Rick. I think Rick loves that about himself. And it is a trademark for how he is known, because he's always willing to help people. However, what he had recognized is that in the saying yes, that there are prioritizing what he says yes to and where his actual time and energy is going, because there are things that he says yes to that are better done by someone else. That's the truth. Again, it's not a matter of him being the person to get that done. It is that the person gets what they're looking for and being able to point them to a resource and then focus in on, okay, prioritizing what are those things based on the goals that we have, right? I set the context for the year of the word joy. And we talked about it for 3 days, literally around the 29th, 30th, 31st. We're out in the morning. We take a walk, 2.5 to 3 mile walk with Bubba along the Pacific Grove Recreation Trail along the ocean. a couple blocks from our house, and we do it in the evening. And then, one of our dream home things was that we had a bathtub big enough for both of us to soak in because it's electronic free, and we have, we can decompress and have great conversation and reconnect about, whatever, so that we have a connection point. So literally throughout like the walks, the tubs, the this, the that, we're having these conversations, and I hadn't landed on my word. The reason why I'm saying this is there is great power in what you choose and how you will use it in the coming year. And so, Will, I was inspired by you on the last builders call that we had in December, because one of your questions was how, I've got these people that are incredible real estate agents within the organization. How do I activate desire? And so as you said the word activate, like there was something inside of me that sparked. I was like, wow, I can activate my muscles as I tone up my body. From a health perspective, I can activate the neuroplasticity in my brain as I'm doing meditation and visualization for what I want to intentionally create. I'm like, activates my word. And then I was like, but I don't know if it is. And so there was these conversations that were happening, and how the context got picked. And the reason I'm sharing this is for those of you in process with this, or that will go through this process, is I started to ask myself, okay, that's great. Activate could be it. There's also like 9 other things where I could see where that context would serve what I wanted to create in 2023. And so the question then became a little bit big. And that question became, what is the one context that I would pick for 2023 that could completely transform how I experience everything that I am going to touch, and everything that I am going to be a part of, and everything that I am going to experience and create in the year? And so I started to think about what are some of those things? And I was like, man, every time we go to pack our bags and get on a plane, because we do, significant amount of travel for business, I am in the closet complaining. I'm like, I know this is what, I know this is great. It's going to be fine once we get there. I hate leaving home. And, Rick is sitting listening to this. I'm like, I love being here. I don't have any desire to leave here. And at the same time, I'm not going to send him off on a business trip by himself, because I don't want to leave home, right? I enjoy looking out at the ocean and my walks with the dog and working from here. And I was like, what if my context for the year is joy? How would that shift the experience I have every time I go to pack my bag and leave? And we pack our bags and we leave because we're going to make an investment in other people and ourselves. What would happen in my experience if that was my context? What would happen when my introverted self is exhausted from being with people? And not that I don't love people, just that investing in people by about 9 hours of it is like, oh my goodness, I need to be in a quiet padded room just to not hear any sounds and renew myself for the next 24 hours. And that's not an option, because we have 3 more days in an event to go that are like 10, 12-hour days, right? What if my context was joy? What is my experience going to be? How is that going to change the experience that I have as I go into those things that intellectually I am choosing to do because they're aligned with what our intention is and what we're creating? What's that experience going to be for me? How would it change that experience for my lovely husband who loves me no matter what? And he's like, you'll be fine. You're always fine once we get there. And then energetically, how is that going to be different for the people that on day 2 of an event where I'm like tapped out, I need to tap out? You know what? I've chosen the context of joy. And energetically, I'm now engaging, what is that difference going to be? So the word and the context that you pick for yourself becomes a filter to process every experience through before you go have the experience. He's like, and I said, maybe it's joy. And he goes, that's it. It was the only time in all the conversations we'd had where I was talking about and brainstorming about what I thought my context was going to be for the year, that he jumped on. He's like, that's it. I was like, how did you jump on that so fast? He goes, well, why did you say that word? And so, and all the reasons why I said that word, he was like, that's why. And because he doesn't have that experience at all, he has a totally different experience than I have. So when you think about the word that you're choosing for 2023 into context, number one, if you haven't picked one yet, I would say I invite you to go through the process of doing that and have it up in front of you as your guide. And the thing that is going to influence your decisions on how you choose to respond, the intention that you set when you go into situations, the filter that comes up, and know that when you choose that, the opposite is going to come in, right? I get clear on joy on Sunday night. Monday morning, we find out about Nathan's passing. There is nothing joyful about that. So I've picked a context for joy. How do I go through the experience of the loss of someone so profound and so significant and stand in my context? So I'm looking for the joy and allowing both things to be so that I go, okay, life is happening. Life is always going to be happening. And the context that you pick for yourself is going to determine whether you get stuck and yanked out of the game for a period of time, or maybe perpetually, or if you raise yourself to another level because you have a guiding context that you're committed to stepping into for the year that will be something that anchors you and that also acts as a lighthouse to keep your path clear and to keep your vision clear and to keep you moving forward. So it is with great care that I would encourage you to choose your context for the year, and with great intention to do that and to really use it as something that is a resource and a tool for you. And each year it will be different because you're in a different place and it's a different iteration of you. There's a book by Benjamin Hardy called Your Future Self. Selena's reading that book right now. And the truth is that for the dreams, for the desires, for the goals, for the plans that we've not yet executed or created, it will require a different version of who we are to go create those things. Quite simply, the concept of your future self. And so when you think about your future self, it is stepping into those traits, those qualities, those characteristics of the next version of you, of the next iteration of you, to step into being aligned with the person that actually creates those things personally and professionally. And that is the exciting thing, is that none of us ever arrive. So any questions on context words? Selena, you have something in the chat. Go ahead and come off mute.
Yeah, I go one step further and I incorporate it into my passwords for the year. For those of you who don't know, my husband is in information security, so passwords are like a big deal for him. So when you incorporate it into your password for the year, you have to write the word all the time. So you're taking it like one step further, like you're constantly having to write the word. So you should be changing your passwords all the time anyway, but just saying. So it makes you actually have to write it.
And there's
Right.
a fun, for those of you that have lots of places to log into, if you don't know about it, it's called LastPass. LastPass.com will securely house all of those things. So you never have to be without what they are. If you create different iterations of using your context word for the year within different places, then you don't have to continue to change it every time you log in, because you have a place that is securely housed. Okay, I love that. Fantastic. Anyone else that has a comment, question, feedback on the value of context and being really clear for the year? Okay, so item number 2, the context of this call being building, and for those of you that have a desire to build and grow and scale your organizations, mastery is nothing more than a mastery of the basics. And if we go back to what every business hinges around, whether it's your real estate sales business or building an organization, it is the contacts. Who are the relationships that you have? Who are the relationships that you've not yet made? Who are those people that you know of, that you don't know, that you want to know? and having those housed as a living, breathing document, a contact list. Once you have that contact list, you know, what happens? Well, clarity on your personal story. And I would say that there's different versions of your story. So it's a new year, and how you speak the future into existence is important. So getting clear on where are you going in your business and in your life, right? I know I'm seeing Thomas Do here, who's new to the organization, and that we're building and growing and developing a relationship. I met him for the first time at the business that Rick did in San Ramon the end of last year. And you know, hats off, 80 some people in that room physically with, you know, 500 live streaming from all over. And of the 80 that were in that room, more than 60 were not with EXP, right? Thomas was not with EXP at that point. However, Rick is adding value to the community and being a resource and taking his knowledge and paying it forward. And while they've been in conversation about life and future and business, you know, we had the opportunity to meet at that event. And so Thomas, you know, you're in this next phase in your real estate career, a new chapter, and welcome to EXP and welcome to our community and to our family. And so one of the important things is getting really clear. You have relationships, a lot of them have influence in the industry, and how you choose to use your influence in 2023. Like, what is your, you know, your personal story, and how you're languaging that, and how you'll talk about that with people as you're in transactions, as you're at events, right? That's called creating your personal story. So that it's important to refresh that at the onset of each year and go, great, what is the story that I'm stepping into this year? What is the story that I'm telling myself and other people? The vision of where you're going and how that will influence and create a space for people that could be inspired or ignited by what that vision is. So your story, the contacts. Number 3, how you're inviting, right? Sitting down on Sunday at the restaurant, and Rick saying, you know, we're looking to meet great people in the real estate community, and the manager of the restaurant going, oh, well, then you got to know this guy. And less than 24 hours later, we're sitting, you know, having dinner with that guy, and he's a great guy, and we look forward to, you know, building a relationship with him and getting to know him better. It is that easy to, and we didn't talk about EXP at all, right? We were getting to know each other as human beings and colleagues that are now on the same market. And, you know, you got to know this person. I got to meet this person. Like, can I buy you dinner? Can we, you know, can we have coffee? And whatever that looks like in those relationships, an invitation can be that simple, right? And then when you get to, you know, there's an opening. Clearly, this guy's looking to create leverage, and he wants $50,000 of passive income by the time he's 50 and he's 43. And he has a strategy that he's working on to do it right now. However, whether that happens or not, you know, we'll see. He's got something in place, but he's got a desire there already. Did we say, hey, we can help you with that strategy? No, we didn't. We said, hey, we would love to, we'd love to meet your wife and get to know you guys better. And we'll build and foster that relationship, right? And so, but we're learning about people, and we're learning where we can support and serve needs that they have based on what they already want and what they're already looking for, and be that resource, right? That would have been a little weird in the first conversation. It's kind of like meeting someone at the bar and asking them to marry you. If we were like, wow, we should talk about this and let us show you this, like, we would not have that conversation in a getting to know you space that we were having. However, it would be selfish of us to not have that conversation at some point down the road based on what we know that he's looking to create, right? Because we have a way to help him do that. And whether that ends up being an option for him or not, that will be up to him. And that conversation will come at some point in time. So how you're handling yourself in the market, what is the story you're telling? How are you being a resource to the people that you have the opportunity to touch? And then how are you working together within the community and organization of people that are there to support you and to help you grow? So specifically, all of those things that I just mentioned in detail are trained in a more in-depth, at a more in-depth level. And I'm going to share my screen for the resource to do that, if that is something that you choose to do as part of your skilling up in this new year. If you go to empirebuilders.pro and under the tab here, I have so many things that are popping up. Meeting chat under attraction and recruiting. The Builders Boot Camp is a deep dive on how to do each one of those things, how to create a revised story of where you're at this year and how you're going to communicate that. The power of being strategic once you've got those contacts in place, and how to build that contact and evolve that contact list, how to open an invitation with your story, the exposure process when somebody does want to take a look and do their own due diligence, and then how to work together with the people you're in business with to create a larger conversation and that ongoing upgrade process that does not stop once someone comes to EXP. So I know we're at the top of the hour, and really just wanted to use this call as a foundation to help you get clear and be intentional going into 2023. You'll see an email that went out yesterday. If you didn't get it, search your spam. It's coming from empirebuilders.pro@gmail. And it is for the year, the live events that we personally, Rick and myself, will be at, and that you are invited to attend as well, with as many people as you'd like to invite. And they're places where we'll be learning and skilling up and growing together. And being plugged in and doing those things will be critical to your success. You decide how much or little of that you want to do. However, your business will always grow in direct proportion to how you're growing as a person. And those instances and those events are places to grow you as a person, as well as your skills around your real estate sales businesses, and learning from the best of the best to have that have created organizations that are still growing and building at incredible levels. So you have that calendar. We invite you to utilize it and join us. And this Friday, you'll see an email going out today. There will be a launch call happening this Friday on a program that we'll be doing for the very first time. And it's called Administrative Mastery. And it is not for admins. It could be for a person in an admin role. However, it is for anyone that's in a real estate sales business on the value of systems, scalability, and efficiency in your real estate sales business. If you have an admin, have them take that program with you. There'll be a full overview on it happening, and you'll see it did go out in the newsletter. However, the link wasn't live. So today there's another promotion of that happening with a live link to register for the launch call. That will be the overview of what that will be, that will start this Friday. So I want to say, as we close out today's call, that you each have a fingerprint on the people that you touch. And it's one that you don't know how deep it goes. And that each of you has greatness inside of you. And my invitation for each of you this year is to unleash that at a new level, and to let the people that you have a fingerprint with and those that you don't yet have a fingerprint with experience you and see you and feel you as a resource that truly cares about them as a human being first, as a business partner second, and as a friend and possibly family member, depending on what those relationships are. And time is not guaranteed to any of us. And so may you each be intentional. We look forward to being a part of your journey and deeply connected with each one of you to the level that you want to be in this coming year. And I know I speak for Rick because he shares the sentiment that we appreciate and value and really care for one of you. So thank you for being who you are, and let's go make it the best year yet.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, guys.
We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you all.
Fantastic call.